You're tuning in to Gone.net.
Oh, John, you are muted, sir.
Oh, I clicked the, you know what happened? Okay. Well,
See?
first of all, welcome everyone to another Gone.net. And second of all, I didn't realize it auto unmuted me. So I clicked the mute button right after like it unmuted.
So after our 10-minute usual 10 minutes of going, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do I got to reboot my mic? Fancy mics. And there's always an issue. And even internet. John is grainy as
Money
nuts on my
can't
end.
fix the problems that we make for ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, at least everything else. See, I spun up all of the app stuff before I started the stream today instead of like as we start the stream.
Yeah.
So it looks like everything's going to run. I should do that more often, especially like, I've talked about the Ortonau curse before. So far it hasn't carried over from John, but you never know.
Yeah.
Every time Dave's on the stream though, I'm going to have some sort of issue. He just, I don't know what.
It's software. Even did you see the, I don't know, it was a little while ago now, like weeks or something. There's like the Meta showing off like some of the new AI, or not AI, the new, I mean probably some of that too. The new like Quest and
Classes.
Yeah, all that stuff. Do you see all the demo fails that happened on that? It's like it's just a given that there's going to be demo fails.
I mean, I remember how mad I was. There was a thing that came up this morning too about Bill Gates and Windows 98 and how it blue screened and how apparently he lost his marbles after.
Oh yeah.
And I know Steve Jobs was notorious for that as well. And it's like, well, dude, you're showing demoware.
Yeah,
you want to put it out there?
It's going to happen.
This is going to happen.
That or like you script the whole thing and pre-record it, and then nobody believes that it's doing what it does anyway. So
I kind of like it because it puts a comedic spin on everything, right? All the Azure ones, every time they show like something with Azure and talking and AI, it always fails. All the demos that just like, or it takes forever, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's done and it works, and you're like, you guys just kind of put on a video recording, or what happened? But
yeah,
it's always funny. So cool things in the community this week. There's one I wanted to call out.
Okay.
So did you know that Flutter uses a different, they don't use Skia anymore?
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The Google has done a bunch of different things around that space. So Skia, yeah, they don't use Skia in Flutter, but Skia is still heavily used in Chrome rendering.
Yes.
So like,
I didn't know that though.
Preface this with like the fact that Skia is not going anywhere anytime soon. However,
they have one called Impeller, which I didn't actually know about this. And it's their new GPU optimized renderer, replacing Skia for better performance on mobile and embedded devices. Now, people are going, why you guys aren't supposed to be talking about the other stuff, right? Supposed to be talking about .NET. The reason I bring it up is because Avalonia, they do a cross-platform, mobile. I think they're more known for desktop and WPF kind of transitioning. But they are teaming up with Google, the Flutter team specifically, to port or bind, or I'm not sure what they're doing, port or bind of Impeller to. I haven't looked at it far enough yet.
Yeah, same.
But that was an interesting announcement that came up last night. And I was like, ooh, that's an interesting take.
We looked at Impeller a little bit when it kind of was first announced. Like it's been around actually for a while. I don't know. It looks like Impeller is like the default on iOS and Flutter now for some time. And then which kind of, makes sense almost a little bit more on iOS first in a way, because like Android already has Skia there, right? Like it's there. It's not like you have to ship the huge thing, but I can see, and we see this with Skia Sharp even, is like, if you want to add that to your apps, it's not, this day and age is like a few extra megabytes is nobody should probably be worrying about unless you're targeting, certain markets and stuff where that actually is important. But that's like decreasingly a big deal, right? In the ecosystem, a couple megs. But having
I
said
know a
that,
lot of people used to squawk about it. They were like, "Oh, it's
yeah, it's
so
it's
heavy,"
it's
but
it's
pick your
a
poison.
couple megs in app size, and like people love to complain about that, about app size and about app startup time, right? And like realistically, both of those things are, as long as you're not doing something silly, are like non-issues anymore.
Just make magic, John. It should all just render and be
Yeah.
perfect and
Although
fast.
Android now in Net 10, I don't know if I haven't played with it yet. I have to try it out
Okay.
with Tool Math, but you can do a full AOT now in Android, I think. For MAUI
Yeah, I
apps.
saw, was it Peppers put out a post about stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, so like some of the, like, a Hello World app is now like, super fast to start up. So like there you go. If you want your fast startup, go full AOT, which is why we've talked about this already before, right? AOT is a big deal for library authors and everything, so that people can make their apps full AOT, and it all kind of snowballs into something cool.
It's gonna be an uphill battle to get there because getting AOT, um, not the easy. Well, I shouldn't say it's not easy. It's a lot of work to get there, right? Like getting rid of, you essentially have to get rid of all reflection, any sort of dynamic code. You have to throw it out. But it's funny because trimming has always been the exact same damn thing because
Yeah.
they essentially work the same way. Can I find everything that this beast touches? If I can't, anything I couldn't touch,
It
delete
was
it.
trimming was maybe a little bit more forgiving in the sense that you could kind of say, like,
Yeah,
once you hit this area, just don't trim anything, right? Like,
yeah.
just leave it alone. We know we need a bunch of stuff. We're not sure which, so like just keep it all.
Just keep it all. We'll just keep everything there.
Yeah.
But AOT is a little bit more like I can't see it, so if you call it, it's not there,
Yeah.
and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
So
I need to see it ahead of time so that it can call it when
I
you
mean,
need
it's
it.
interesting because that's what Dart, like Flutter's language, they did started doing source generation for that right away. Like they didn't
Mhm.
have any reflection API, so everyone's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
JSON's such a pain in the ass," because everybody just wants to wire up their JSON types and start having serialization. And lo and behold, here we enter, and it's like that's like the first thing that you have to deal with AOT, and so much
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. No, I
Fun, fun
remember
to
that
use.
too, because I remember James Clancy spent some time trying to build. I mean, not trying is not a kind way to say it, because he had stuff working, but making like Flutter work from .NET and doing stuff like that. And like that was one of the big hurdles. Was it's like you start looking at the Flutter stuff, you're like, what? There's no like reflection. How are we going to do this? And so you had to kind of figure out other ways around it. But
But they had like a source gen kind of thing in the tooling,
yeah, but it's not
allowed you
what
to
you
do it.
want when you're like doing it at run. It wasn't a nice way to have to approach it for integrating in .NET kind of thing.
This is the thing, it's always pick your poison, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Flutter's got its bonuses and it's got its takeaways, so
But the impeller stuff does genuinely look cool. I might have to go reach out to some of those folks and get some more info just out of my own, satisfy my own curiosity, right? To see exactly how they're approaching it. Should be
I mean,
faster.
I'll use them for I've been trying to use them for a desktop app, um,
Mhm,
like Windows and Mac, 'cause that's like Mac OS really isn't a thing for Maui. I mean, Catalyst, yes, but it's not quite,
mhm.
right? Like, I want
Yeah.
something that's full desktop, and that's where I kinda start to look at these guys, like Avalonia,
Mhm.
and so far it's been okay. They've
Have
got
you tried their like WPF thing? Because they also take, because I think that's how like structure MS Build structured log viewer and that kind of stuff runs on Mac. It's through their basically conversion thing, I think.
No, I ended up looking at them was specifically because I wanted, a tray icon on
Mhm.
Windows and or Mac OS,
So you can do
and
that in Catalyst, FYI. It's ugly,
yeah,
but you can do it.
it's ugly.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I wanna go out and I wanna see what's out there, and Avalonia had a nice little way to do it that works on both Windows and Mac OS. I had to do a lot of other tweaking to kinda get some platform specifics in there because Avalonia doesn't start looking at OS unless you hook it that way.
Mm.
I find it kind of funny because you just hit F5, so it's targeted net 90, and it just started the Mac OS app, and I was like, they're doing something fun underneath the hood for this one. But it just ran it. And then I was like, well, how do I do the cross-platform stuff? You have to kind of build that in,
Mhm.
which isn't hard. I mean, we've been doing it in CS Prod forever. And I went and gave it a try, and sure enough, it works. And yay! Now I got
Yeah,
tray
that's cool.
icons with can talk to AI. It sucks you can't bring over the Catalyst APIs into a Mac OS app, though. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's so why they gotta do this stuff, man?
Yeah, well, and we always looked at it from the opposite, which was like you've got Catalyst to start, and you can technically like it's a Mac app, right? Like you can call the AppKit APIs from a Catalyst app, but you have to do
Right.
it. I mean, we never provided the bindings for you to do it, and for many reasons. Like I always kind of wanted to see the ability for you to like go grab a package that was like the app kit bindings for Catalyst, and but like buyer beware, no support, like because the argument was always those APIs are unsupported, and in theory, like Apple could reject your app from the App Store because you're using them. They don't. Like I've not seen cases where that they actually do that, and so things like a tray icon, like you could totally do. We just never gave you like the nice binding to make it work, and there were challenges with having to like provide bindings that included that plus the normal ones, and like all the registrar stuff and how that works under the hood. It wasn't going to be super easy to do necessarily, but I always thought it would be kind of cool if you had access to do it, and just kind of like by installing this thing, I agree that like I know I'm risking whatever I'm risking, and Apple can reject it and all that kind of stuff, right? Of course, that's not something you want to like go give a big enterprise customer, and they probably don't want to trust that.
Right.
But yeah, it would be neat. But you can still actually do it all with like dynamic, selector invocation and stuff, right? Like you can write the code that makes it work. It's just really ugly.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. So
Yeah,
I wanted
fair.
to I was looking to do just like a stupid, simple, AI. I want to yell at it because Siri and shut up, Siri. Don't listen to me. And Mrs. A, that's Alexa. I don't say it out loud because
Well, I don't
she's
have
here.
any of those, so I can say it all I want.
Oh, well, they won't hear you right now, but mine will hear me and
Yeah.
set off. Um, so I tend to talk. The problem is you can't really do anything with them. Like Mrs. A is pretty smart. You can turn on lights, do that stuff. You can create calendar entries and stuff. Like it does work, but
Mhm.
it's like I want to do it at my desktop. So I wanted to make like a Mrs. A for that's actually functional because Siri doesn't do any of those things. Like it doesn't really create calendar entries where you want
No, it
them.
doesn't do that. It'll do like devices and stuff that are in HomeKit, all right, but yeah, it's not the
So
best.
yeah, all I'm doing is using standard AI stuff. Figure this out. Call into the tool. So I have obviously multiple tools,
You
right? So I've got a tool for calendar,
Yeah.
for like what the hell is the weather, what is the date, even though the date isn't like the date and time. You have to. I think this is one I've told before. Um, AI is so stupid sometimes it doesn't know the date. It's
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
have to tell it the date. Like today is this date, man. Don't.
Yeah.
So if I'm saying today or tomorrow, this is today. This is the
Yeah,
time
well, I
right now.
mean, it makes
You would
sense,
think
right? Like, by default, the model has no concept of any of that. Like, you could give it
Mhm.
I think, like, you give it tools or whatever, or, yeah, shove it in the prompt and be like, "This is some pertinent information," like that.
But it's like part of my anytime I start a chat client, like the prompt, it's always like, especially if I'm going to start saying things like today, tomorrow, or
Yeah.
some date relevant in the future, I always tell it the date now because it's like, yeah, today is 2024, and it'll actually go out and all the tools like, what's the weather today? So it'll call into the weather tool. It'll provide the timestamp because I may want to know what's the weather tomorrow. And it'll be like, yeah, today's like, I'm pretty sure it's the date the model was trained. It's
Yeah.
like November 7th, 2024. And you're like, the hell it is.
Nope.
I would think this is the one thing that you have built in, but no, you made an assumption.
But it makes sense because like it's the model
No,
is not. No, it
dude,
does. The model's
that
not
should be
dynamic.
that should be
Like,
built in. It should have a tool that comes out of the gate, like such a basic.
sure,
What is
but
the date
that's
today?
like I don't know. What if you want to not like I don't know. I'm okay with it not having that
I mean, I
because
guess you could argue time zone.
time
You
zone, but
could.
even just like what if I want to have a conversation as if the date is actually 10 years ago? Now you have to override defaults and stuff. Like don't it's like give me the model shouldn't have when it's like
Why the hell would you do that?
I don't know, what maybe I'm building some weird thing. Who knows?
I
Um
mean, you can already tell it to talk like Shakespearean, like talk to me
yeah,
like
yeah,
you're a
but
Shakespeare play and
if
go
you're
back 100, 200
building
years.
if you're using an API for these models, like I think it's appropriate that the assumption is there's nothing like that out of the box. Maybe it should be a setting on the API, like maybe you send another header, like include, context or something.
So just to throw this out there, if I frequently forget what day it is. My kids think I'm absolutely stupid, right? But I don't, as you get older and you work, you're like the weekends and the work days tend to blur together,
Yeah.
especially if you're running kids around everywhere. It doesn't feel like you had a day off in the weekend sometimes. So like, how do you not know what day it is? I'm like, dude, it's Monday. It could be Friday. I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah. It's like you
So
have
like,
school to set your calendar by. I don't.
but if AI is supposed to be this ultimate intelligence, you would be like, what's the date? It's 2024. No, it isn't, dumbass. This is like the
No.
one thing. Oh,
I,
I
okay.
just
Where I could compromise is that it should at least not hallucinate the date. If it doesn't have access to a tool or whatever that says like this is actually the date, it should just be like, I don't know, man. I don't have that information.
mm, it's just been, AI just surprises you every now and again with how stupid it can actually be. I sent John an image yesterday. Now I have like cameras in my house and I run a pretty decent setup. Like they're not stupid cameras, they're Unify cameras.
But
And
that was
I've
a
had them
unified
where
one.
they are
Yeah.
forever.
Okay.
It was a
But,
Unify camera.
yeah. I thought maybe it was
And
not, but
I was out of town, so it sent me an alert saying human alert detected. Now the front door would have triggered me of going, "Oh my god, somebody's breaking in." And it was the middle of the day, so I wasn't worried, but it was like human detected and it was
yeah,
like,
it's a weird one.
"What?" And I opened it and it's got this one view of the stairs and it picked out the banister pole and it's because it's got like a little round head on it. It said human. And I was like, that is most definitely not a human. I'm not sure why it started doing that. Um, but yeah, that was funny. So I kept that image. I
That's a
keep
good
the
one.
image of it not knowing the date. So if anything, we're gonna have lots of comedy about AI as we go on because it does a lot of stupid things.
Oh
Not
yeah.
as much as humans sometimes, but it's getting up there. It's getting up there.
I mean, train it from human inputs, right? It's gonna have some of that.
I suppose. I suppose. So it's about that time. Maybe we should look at our app this week.
Yeah.
So we have been working on a GPS app that scales, and so we get GPS coordinates out of off our phone. We broadcast them into a back end, and that back end we've been working on scaling. Now, I figured, heck, for the demo, Redis would be a good thing to pick, and we can stream it back and forth. Well, it turns out Redis doesn't have a streaming client, so that kind of sucked. Um, so I've switched it all over to Azure blobs and queues and tables. And of course, because it's a Microsoft technology, all of the stuff is supported on Azure Storage. Who knew? And you can run Azure Blob or Azure Storage as a Docker container. So that ends up working. At least I've got it so it's not complaining. And what I've also done is I said I wasn't going to do this, but I did end up doing it, was creating a silo. So that's like an Orleans server. It's a mythical thing that it can exist as a separate Docker container or whatever. It takes TCP connections because I think it does. I think it chatters through gRPC, so protobuf.
Mhm.
So it's very fast. It yammers back and forth through that. And so we've got this two container setup. But I'm going to share my screen, and then maybe that'll be more understood than me babbling about it. So let's go ahead and share that. I'm going to hide that. And I can still see John. Now, is it big today, John?
It's
I
not
already
bad.
adjusted.
It's
Okay,
not
see?
bad.
Okay, let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. But
Yeah, that's good.
so we still have our useless database, not doing anything with it. We've got ngrok, just because that's to point into our app, to tunnel into our app. I have now our storage queue or storage service, and it's showing all the things like the grain state. We want the pub sub storage and streaming are kind of attached. That's why I have to have two of them. Clustering is just how the silo says I'm here. So if we want to add things to the cluster, you can do that. We have reminders. I wired this up just in case we decide to take a look at them if we have time. Then obviously now we've got this new silo server, which I'll show in a second. And we always had our web API. So nothing special there. Our Orleans dashboard is now running inside the silo, which again is just another, I don't know, console application, best way to describe it. So you got all that stuff. It's a little bit more chatty now because I've got literally like reminders. So we've got timers running. The dashboard is running, streaming is running. So it's constantly doing stuff. So that's why it looks quite a bit busier than normal and why there's a lot more grains, but that's all right. That's kind of par for the course.
So this silo that you have running now, like this was all just running like locally on your system before.
It was running in the web API. And I
Okay.
decided, since because we're also using Aspire, right? And Aspire is a beautiful thing for setting all this up. I decided since all the docs show this kind of going into a silo separate from the web API, I didn't want to screw people up and go, why have you done this differently? Well, because I thought it was easier, but if all the docs, which no offense, Aspire team, if you're listening, the Orleans docs for Aspire kind of suck. So we should probably look at amping those up sometime in the future. But for now, this is what we've got. So that's why I decided to go that route and just break it out. Again, showing off the silo.
So this kind of gives you like a picture of like how you might orchestrate it. So like you might have, is the silo the thing then that, you would kind of scale up to more instances and stuff as things get busy?
Right. And this is it, and it can do its own thing and it can talk to other silos.
How do you like, I mean, we're probably going deep too soon here, but how do you scale? Like, how do you define how to even do that?
So Orleans does have a way to talk to Kubernetes. There's a hosting package that you can install in it, and you can set up rules around that. It's complicated. Kubernetes will make your mind boil if you're not used to it. But it can talk to the Kubernetes hosts and say, I'm getting pretty busy. I'm seeing some slowdowns. I need to scale. So you still set up your elasticity rules in Kubernetes, and then it'll decide how it's going to deal with it.
Okay.
And it sets it up in such a way with your pods that it can actually increase them and still make them talk together in the same network. And it's kind of magical in the way, like I know a lot of people have said, there's little issues with Orleans if you don't set it quite up properly. And because it's magic, you need to kind of dig through the logs and go figure out what it did. So as with anything, I really suggest you probably understand what you're about to get into.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to manually scale this, there's many ways that I could attach it. I can include it in a network. So I can say, you can talk, just kind of like Signal or backplanes. Have you ever worked with those?
No.
So it's basically just the bus in between the two servers to say, I'm going to handle that request. If I publish an event, you'll also get it, but I'm going to handle the initial incoming request. And there's many ways that can work, right? How you talk to servers versus the outside and how it backplanes in the background is pretty cool. So Orleans is just, I want to say, I'm not going to say it's built on that. It's not built on that at all, but it's the same premise that it knows how to communicate with all these silos. Right. And it decides, if I've got the driver grain, it may say, well, there's 1 million driver grains on this server. I'm going to spin one up over on this other server. And you can even do it smart, right? You could say, listen, for company A, we want all their grains to spin up maybe our New York infrastructure because that's where they are, right?
Could we do it like with a driver kind of general location? Could we say like, oh, for this app, right? Like we have a bunch of drivers in kind of the Northeast, so let's make sure that their grains spin up there.
You could. It just depends on how you're going to get them consumed later on. So it's just the whole thing about us Orleans is that you can decide what works best for your business, right? So me broadcasting my GPS, across the country, it's a small bit of data.
Oh,
Is it a
sure.
big deal? I don't know.
No,
But
probably not.
if I'm going to read like a million of these grains or several thousand of these grains, and I'm in New York, like I'm the manager, maybe I want to have all those grains closer to me.
Mhm.
The whole point is you can wire it in and decide it, right? There's like a grain directory setup that you can kind of go into, and you can decide what works best for your business
Right.
logic if you want to get into that craziness.
Yeah,
I'm
which
avoiding it for this.
probably
This
most people don't need to, if ever, not if not ever, not often, I would guess. That's one of those, like, don't optimize, before you need to.
exactly. So this is our Orleans server. Okay, nothing special about it. It's just a .NET console app essentially. I've got some libraries in there, though the main portion is going to come out of our service defaults. That's kind of the shared
Mhm.
project, which we'll get back to in a minute. We've got a program. Yes, there's some hacks that you have to do to get the Azure Queue provider. This is like a hack that they've had to do recently with Aspire. Whoop-de-doo. I'll comment that in. We've got our dashboard, but we don't really have a lot of settings, right? Because most of that's coming in from Orleans. And the only other thing we have to do, Aspire, most of it's coming in from Aspire, is these basically I have to add all the blob client for each of our stores, the queue client for streaming, the reminders table, and the clustering table. So this is all like the Azure setup. The
Now
clients that we
these
need.
different, like, pub sub storage versus streaming storage, that's like an Orleans
This is an Orleans
convention.
requirement.
Okay.
Yes and no. It's just basically I've named them,
Yeah.
but this is just something that Orleans needs. So we do it. Just follow the docs.
Okay.
And then obviously now we've got Orleans clients involved, and I'll show what that means in a second. And if we go to our app host, so things have slightly changed since our last stream. Now I'm creating the Azure storage run as emulator,
Mhm.
right? We can change that if we're deploying, obviously, but for now, we're just going to have our debug local. I add our clustering table, which again, how does things work, or how do the silos work together? How does the client communicate with it? So that has to all be understood. Same grain state, same streaming queue. So this is where it actually goes and creates it, because we're in the Aspire world.
Mhm.
Then I create kind of like an Orleans configuration. So this can kind of screw people up, because it's like, am I building an Orleans server here?
Right.
No, you're building an Orleans setup in which, this is how I want you to cluster, and
Mhm.
what I want you to cluster against. This
And
is the
here's, like, your
reminders.
storage and your tables and everything, and
Right. So this is the configuration for all of it.
Mhm.
And then what I'm doing is I'm saying, with reference to Orleans, I dragged and dropped and ticked something off. I've given a reference to the Orleans kind of config. I've added all these other things like the Azure queues and blobs and stuff. So I've added that, and I'm waiting for all of it, right? Because we
Mhm.
need to wait for them to be all spun up.
Does
Now,
the order particularly matter here too? Like, you've got clustering
no,
for, just it's all kinda
it's going to
like
wait. It's basically said I need to pass the configurations. So of each one of these, which is just basically a connection string,
Mhm.
and I need to wait until the provider tells me they're ready. So
Okay.
it's basically like a when
Yeah.
all of them are done, then I can start. So here we have our Orleans server, which I've referenced in the project. And so if we go to dependencies, we'll see projects. There's our Orleans server and our API. So we spun the silo up. And then the cool part here is so we've got our database. Again, it's useless doing absolutely nothing right now. But here is the part that matters. This Orleans as client. So instead of trying to pass all the server
Right.
required stuff, it's going to pass what it needs for the client to actually work. And then for the client to actually work, we can the idea is that you're probably going to have many kind of APIs talking to the silo. So we end up putting it in our service defaults, which is kind of our shared project. I'm creating again those shared clients because we still, it still ends up talking to Azure quite a bit. And then I use the Orleans client, and this is an Aspire thing here. It's going to pass in all those connection strings that we bubbled down automatically, which that might not sound like much, but when you start configuring Orleans, you realize there's a lot of stuff in that
Yeah.
it's just not really fun to set up. So this does a lot of magic. And again, going back to our Orleans server, aside from this hack fix, workaround, whatever we want to call it, and the dashboard, because that's not built in, I could technically comment out all this and just say use Orleans. And again, Aspire's taking care of all of the configuration, minus setting up the Azure storage queue. So that's pretty awesome when you consider how much this thing does.
Yeah.
So now, again, we go back to our API now, and it's like, okay, how do we talk to this? Because before we were using grain clients. So I haven't changed any of our driver grain. That's all here. That's all the same. Our implementation hasn't changed a bit. And then when we go over to our API and we go to program, the only thing that's changed is this Orleans, this cluster client, and that is it.
So what was that one before?
This was the grain factory before.
Right.
And now it's just, we're going to talk to some remote cluster client, which is configured again through this add Orleans client, which is the shared method I made.
So you've moved from hosting the grains themselves in the same process as the web app, the web API, effectively, to saying like, which is the beauty of Orleans, is like, I don't care where this thing lives, but now you've given it a different way to access the grain wherever it gets spun up and lives.
And then Orleans can do what it does and scale itself out, deal with grain registration and all the hosting and how long it lives and all those cool things.
So that cluster client, is implementing the same methods that we're like, the get grain is the same as before, right? Like that was all the same. Cool.
Yep. This, if I put iGrain Factory here,
it still works.
Same stuff. It won't work now because we haven't registered quite the same.
Right.
It'll be like, what the hell is this grain factory service you're talking about? It doesn't. But in the server side, like now, obviously we don't need to call grains quite the same way in Orleans, but you could do the same thing there. Inject the grain factory. It's all there. It works. It just happens that when we're in an actual grain implementation, if I want to call for another grain, I'm not going to use the grain factory. It just has it usually has a get grain in here. Why it's not, why my IntelliSense isn't quite there is another problem. But that's the whole gist of it, right? Is that I can inject these things if I need them. And in the case of client, it's just a client cluster. But in the case of the grains, then I can use the proper server side mechanisms if I need them. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Hence is the confusion of everything. So we've got our client. It is hooking up. So our driver grain should come through. I'm going to set a breakpoint here. And let's make sure that everything is running according to our dashboard. So everything is apparently healthy. We'll show Docker just so everybody can see what's kind of cool going on in there. So I have Azure Write. It's funny, it spun up another one. Let's get rid of that thing. So I've got the Azure storage queue running. I'm probably going to have to create a persistent store on this because otherwise we're going to lose our grains in between reboots. There's our useless database. There's our ngrok, app host, so John can spam the server. And right now we've got our volume set up, but they're probably going to lose some data. So I'll have to fix that, but that can be something we do. And this guy is going to be very chattery, right? Because it's chattering. The silo likes to just yap all over the place. So you can see it's right now. I can't even. There we go. It's chattering so much.
Yeah. Seems like a lot. Seems excessive.
It does, but I mean, have you ever gone in and seen like ADB on your Android phone
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
the host? Like it's just going
Yeah.
insane. So this is really what it does. It's just because all the logging's enabled. So it's like, hey, I'm telling you everything that's running. And it is. It's going just absolutely insane. That's all right. It's just that's that's how you know your software is working. It's not chewing up a ton of CPU or anything, so that's great.
No.
So let's go back to our code. We have, again, what we wanted to do was an async enumerable out to whatever map client we start to use. And we wanted to do our driver grain in. So this is when we're reporting. Now, we were having a bug with our mobile client, which we'll look into in a minute. But what I wanted to do is get this thing working. So let's see, what URL are we running on for our remote? So our web API is running on HTTP 2, let's copy 5214. So I am going to go into this is just an HTTP, I don't know, file. It's not quite the same if you're a Rider fan. The client does not match the Visual Studio one. So buyer beware. It's close.
No, I never actually have used these before. I always like fire up an external application of some sort.
Oh, really?
I should probably start looking at these. They're kind of neat.
So let's see what we're getting out of this. So something came in. So it's come in. Of course, it's not evaluating. There we go. So it's got my latitude, my longitude, my driver name, timestamp. Let's see where we go from here. And I'm going to go up to Web API did not error. So let's see what grains we've got. We have a driver grain. Hopefully that says Allen test. No, I want grain detail, driver grain, Allen test, show details. Show details. There we go. So it took what I gave it. So we are indeed talking now across to our silo. So it came into this guy with my HTTP call, which I've hacked. I beat John to it. John's probably he forgets the URL, so you're not hijacking it
No,
today.
I got it all saved. I just am being nice today.
Oh, okay. Well, it wouldn't hurt because so I'm going to run drivers now and see what happens here. So I suspect this one's got some problems. So I need to change that to a get. So get drivers. I'm going to close off our grain because we know that this is working now across the boundary. So map get drivers. Orleans client comes in. So I don't want to go too much into this chaos because this is just kind of the way that async enumerables work. But I'm basically waiting for pings to come in and I'm generating them across a .NET channel. You just hit it, didn't you?
There you go. Well, you said you wanted a bunch of drivers, so.
All right, fine. So John is hijacking it. I'm going to set my breakpoint up so I can keep an eye on him. And we have driver updates, which is going to try and deliver not server sent events, but something like, there we go. So the get is now working. Let's see if we can get our stream out of this. So we have something called stream provider. Come on. We do have a stream provider, stream ID, and hopefully we get a stream out of this. Yay, we did. Okay. So this puppy is now running. Now John hit it again. So I'm going to set a breakpoint at this guy. And we're going to see if it, oh, but you know what? I'm not actually sending out the stream yet. All right. So we are getting it through. Now what we have to do is code the other end. So right now we're updating a location, but we're not pushing anything out to the stream. So, okay, fine. We missed. Give me a break. All right. So I'm going to stop it all. I'm going to do something that I said I should have done from the start. I'm going to go back to our app host. And I'm going to say persistent store. I don't know if I have to do it with this, but with data volume. No, I don't think I need to with this because it's an emulator. Okay. I don't need to do it with these guys. So we aren't going to lose stuff. Okay. So in our driver grain, should we let AI have its chance first?
I mean, you can. So
Let's-
you're asking it to basically start publishing to a stream.
Yes. To use, hang on, let's put it in
Go
agent mode.
and maybe GPT-5 Mini.
No, we're gonna we'll go we're gonna go to let's go big. Go big or go home. We're gonna go to Claude Sonnet, just not screw around.
Yeah.
So first thing I'm gonna do, commit all of the stuff that is working.
Do you not just use the Copilot button there now?
What?
It generates all your commit messages and stuff for
but
you.
by the time it would have figured it out, I could have done it faster. So
That's pretty fast. I don't know. That's what I use now.
All right. So I want to use Orleans to send out a stream of our GPS ping. The stream is called stream provider with a stream ID of drivers/all. Let's see. I think it's going to have a hard time with this, but let's see what happens. This should be sent on update location. And just because I fear AI, only touch this file.
I mean, yeah, there's always the undo button. I don't know. I don't seem to have it do that too much.
No, see, like it. Why are you looking at iDriver? Green, you don't. Whatever. Have your way. You better code something, or I'm firing you. Well, it was an okay start. It did. Next location. No, still figuring out. Good. It did that part. Oh, there we go. It got it.
Yeah.
Good boy. You did it right. All right. Let's see. So it did this exactly. It actually did it very right. So what we have this on activated. So this is when the grain gets going.
Yeah.
You want to create the stream right away. So it's, we've just called it stream provider. Usually this is kind of like a default name that we give it, just because the stream may go through a blob. It may go through the database, right? Again, it's abstract, so we don't need to care.
Yeah.
But we could call it like blob provider or database provider if we needed to, because streams have to be extremely high speed.
Yep.
The next thing we're doing is we're getting the provider, which is going to return the location. Is that really what I wanted to return? Is it location? I guess so. What's in location again? Okay. So it has the location. I'm probably going to put the driver ID in, but let's start there. So the ID that we're giving it is because it's going to be all the drivers. I'm not honing in on a specific driver. I just want to blast out these locations for all the drivers. So we're going to get some reuse stream. Location comes in and we ship out our location. Now, the thing is right now I'm not sending the driver name. So this would be it'd be missing some information. But for now, let's come back to that. Let's just see if we can get this darn thing running. I have a feeling though that the stream is sending out GPS pings.
I was going to say, where's kind of the type safety across both sides.
So
you could easily just go make a GPS ping object and send that into the stream, right?
I could. I think right now this GPS ping is hosted with our API, so I'd have to move it around, or I could just make the equivalent thing in our location. So why don't we look at that? Let's look at our interfaces. I believe the location's there. I'm going to screw things up and put string driver name. Now, this is something that people often screw up. Do not try to shift your IDs. If you've ever worked with protobuf, protobuf and a lot of things, they don't work off naming, right? Because you get a byte stream. It's based on if this is a double, it's going to take 8 bytes. Yep. And so there's no naming. So if you start
it's really just markers for field boundaries, right? So number 1 is 8 bytes. Number 2 is the next 8 bytes.
So for
Strings are
this,
always interesting because I'm assuming that it's like protobuf and it basically writes like there's a string, here's the actual length of it, so it knows how
yes.
much to. Yeah.
So I've put this at the end just because we don't need to screw it up and start debugging stuff there. When you're adding a new thing, just it's an appendage, not
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
a
like,
shuffle.
because anything that's existing or has any assumption of how that thing was serialized is going to blow up if you haven't like cleaned the world, right?
Correct. So we'll just leave it as that for now. So I am broadcasting out our location. So
So
what
now,
I'm going,
but just going back to that, that the serialization part, like, so would I be right in assuming that there's always the potential that if you wrote to a stream, like, are these streams durable? Would it potentially have a serialized message, and then if I changed the um the fields on that message definition, those serialized messages might replay when I've redeployed all these changes and now I've got a problem? Is that
potentially you can get
okay?
into durable messaging.
Okay.
This is why I say it's just best in all occurrences of how we're talking. You pretty much just want to append new data types or
Yeah.
new properties onto the message. Then
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it. And in this case, I've made it nullable only because driver name's not required. Because that's our grain ID, right? So our grain ID, we've been cheating
Mhm.
and saying that
It's just the
it's,
name.
Allen Test is the name of the grain or Reds is the name of the grain. So that's been our ID. What I'm going to do now is kind of put it back onto the driver. Like when I broadcast the location out, I'm going to put it on the driver name on the location and then ship it out, which is again, get primary key, which we know is a string
Mhm.
because our grain is of a string. Like we've got the iDriver grain is iGrain with string key. So that's all we're
Yep.
doing here. Little side hack. And then I'm going to go back to our API. Where's our API? So right now I've been getting GPS ping out of it. And what I need to do is switch this to location. And I will broadcast this back out. Yeah. You're all right. So that's location. Good. Now this guy is going to be mad because I'm expecting GPS ping. That's all right. And our observer is
The stream
still
up
not
there is
happy here.
still GPS pin 2.
Oh, is it?
Get
There it is.
stream. Yeah.
Okay. So I still want this to be GPS ping out because that's what our API is using. So all I'm going to do is yield return new GPS ping of, now this is going to be bad. So we're going to do ping dot driver name, which we know is set now. We hope. Ping latitude, ping longitude, and ping timestamp. So all I'm doing is kind of just casting over the type.
Yeah. So in practice, would you not just like share this type in more places, the common type that you have?
So you ever heard
I
of
mean, it
AutoMapper?
depends, I guess, right?
Yes. Have you ever heard of AutoMapper though?
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people hate it. It was done for a reason, a very smart reason. And the idea is that your back end kind of data
Hmm.
contracts usually have a lot more information, right? Like they
Right.
might have user information, which we're cheating on, right? They might have certain headers. They may have IDs, which the user shouldn't even know, right? So there's a lot of things that can go on in your back channels that aren't in your front channels.
Yep. No fair.
So yes, you can share. Should you? Depends on the situation.
Yep.
In this case, because GPS ping is our front contract and I have location as our back contract, we're just going to cheat it. Probably fine for now. So we have our yield return. We have our reader. What is this guy saying? This guy's all location. That's good. And we've got our Orleans client. So let's see now what happens. Maybe I should set a breakpoint up on here as well and see how this guy goes. All right. Now we sit here and stare at the screen and make sure it deploys. My coffee is cold. Canada's getting cold.
Yeah,
I don't like
it's
cold coffee,
winter.
but
Winter is
what is
coming.
I'm not sure if that was a bad Game of Thrones joke or not, but
Yeah, kind of.
it's not a lie either. All right. That is spinning. That is spinning. Let's make sure that they're actually not angry. Look at that. Everybody's happy.
Yay.
Okay. So let's go and bring up, we've got that. Let's bring up our HTTP. I'm going to post something. And now, hopefully, our debug points get hit. Yeah. So it's going to create our stream provider because we're activating the grain. Beauty. So created that. However, there we go. We're going to get, it's very slow right now, but that's all right. We've got Allen test being pushed back on. Now I'm pushing the location out on the stream, which hopefully we're not listening on yet. Because I didn't hook our get drivers. All right. Now we are hooked. So I have called into drivers. Now we're waiting. So now let's post a coordinate. John, do you want to do the honors?
I will
ping
do
up?
it. Yeah. Yeah. You want to see it?
Let's-
You want to see it go through? All right. Let's see.
All right. So here it comes in. This location. Okay. Driver name. Driver name, it's Redth. And we're going to broadcast that back out. There we go. Our stream received it. Driver name Redth. Let's make sure our latitude and longitude is set. Minus, yeah. And our timestamp isn't weird. John's probably posted some weird. And we're going to return it. Let's
Shouldn't
go
be too
back to
weird.
our HTTP. What's up?
Said it shouldn't be too weird. The timestamp.
No, true. Shouldn't be and are two different things. So if I go to, so this is one of the problems with, it did broadcast it out, but I've noticed that if a lot of these clients don't understand the async enumerable stream, so you have to like do server sent events. So that's one thing we do have to change. But for the most part, if I go back here, this did stream out. As soon as it did the yield return, it's come out. This thing is just stupid. The other thing too with async enumerables is you kind of got to tell it after each one flush, right? So flush the right, which I've kind of had to do with async enumerables recently. So for now, we could cheat it, but we know it's working. Trust me, it's working. Can I say that on a live stream? Trust me, it's working.
Yeah, demo fails.
Right.
We talked about that. It's going to be fine.
It didn't fail. It's just that this stupid. See, this thing does not understand. It doesn't understand that we're streaming a server sent event out, but because we're not following like a server sent protocol. It just was like, hey, I didn't get anything. What happens is it didn't flush, right? So after every ping, we're supposed to flush it, which I could emulate just to deal with this stupid guy, but it did work. It did work. So we now have a streaming client and our streams are going through our Azure queues. So we've proven that. We have our types being reserialized properly through our API. So our API, as soon as I called get drivers, it hooked the for each. So our read all channel coming in, which is listing on the channel for us to push out. And what else have I missed? Hopefully, when everything disconnects, these guys get called. Because otherwise, it's going to leak some memory. So this is to unsubscribe from the stream in Orleans and complete the writer so that it doesn't get reused. Big deal. But
so
far,
can
so
we?
good.
Can we? Yeah, so far so good.
What were you going to ask?
No, I mean, what? So what do we have to do to get to the point where we can, test constant incoming, outgoing?
I think the only thing we had was a bug with this guy. And I'm not sure why. So we're going to look into this. So post as JSON. Maybe this thing is stupid. So we've got driver name. Let's see. I'm gonna spin up our app, but I'm gonna get our
Maybe the
debug
JSON
back.
serialization is being silly too. Maybe it's like
Yeah,
in
they.
lowercase, or it has to be the
I
right
noticed this
timestamp
post
format.
JSON. This at post as JSON async. They tend to do a couple funky things in it, which I think angers stuff occasionally. But let's try. Let's go back to here. So we know that this is working with the lowercase stuff, right? Because I pushed that in.
Which is okay,
You've
so that's
hijacked
good
it.
because I use the uppercase, so it's not the casing that seems to be a problem. Maybe
Right.
it's the format of the timestamp or something.
So let's go to. We don't need to worry about change status. We know our view model's working. It's basically just the backend talk. I have my URL here, which everybody can steal if they want, because I have all the keys hidden. By the way, I took the keys out and I moved them to actual secrets. So where they were in the app settings before, they are no longer there. Sorry. So we've got our URL. We just need to test this puppy. So let's go ahead and run. And again, this is where I think that Rider excels. So I can just
It
start
is
this
a nice
guy up.
feature. We need that in VS proper too.
It's beautiful, isn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and debug. I have my iPhone mirroring up. It was up.
So if I started
comes back.
blasting locations, would it just keep logging out to your console there?
It should.
I mean, you'd hit a bunch of breakpoints first. So I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to let you test
Well,
your.
you can go ahead and hit 1. Oh, you can hit 1 right now to make sure the streaming's still on. There you are.
Okay, streaming's still on.
So we know that guy's running. So we'll just wait for our mobile application to come up. And let me bring up the mirroring. That is my phone. We'll see if it's going to take 2 years to ship over data or not. Ship over the app. It's always something, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, maybe simulators next time. Although the GPS is always a little probably annoying on that.
Yeah, I need the GPS to get going. So we'll just give it a second, and it should, an icon should appear there in a minute. But hey, good start anyways. We've got you've got the Orleans stuff. We actually have some best practices in with the silo. Again, I was leaving that out because of complexity. Turns out should have just followed the docs, because people read the docs, right? You read the docs, don't you, John?
Well, when I'm trying to figure something out, sure.
There you go.
I even read the shiny docs.
Do you really?
Yeah,
You do not.
I believe it or not, I try to read through them before asking you why something isn't working for me. My tendency is to start typing like, "Hey," and then I'm like, "Well, wait a second. I'm gonna go look first." And maybe it's there, and I'm just dumb anyway. But I promise you, I'm not always just like, "Why isn't this working?"
I don't care. I abuse you with Maui, so
So what I like about this too is like at the end of the day, you have all this set up, and you've talked about like, hey, maybe we could get somebody in it to go, write a low code or no code, front
right.
end to like the map or whatever, and that's all possible because this isn't using any like yeah, Orleans itself is like a thing in its own ecosystem.
Yep.
However, like the endpoints and stuff, there's nothing special, right? Like if you've got the HTTP client that can return the streams and stuff like that, right? So at the end of the day, it's like there's no reason that you can't integrate other things with this,
Right.
other ecosystems, other tools, whatever.
Right. Right now, we're literally just 2 endpoints. We're post in, so driver mobile app, whenever it friggin' deploys, we'll post to this GPS coordinate, ship it through to Orleans. Orleans can even decide what it wants to do with it. We don't even care. And then at some point, it's going to broadcast down on a high-speed stream that we consume for each, map client that's watching it, and it'll pull those in. So it's a SignalR thing without being SignalR at all. Like there's no custom protocol. I mean,
And
ideally, we will switch this to like a server sent event, which is understood by HTTP. But for now, wow, that guy's going nuts. Let's just look at. Something friendly.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like, years of kind of being used to like proprietary stuff in the .NET ecosystem that like maybe somebody listening is like, well, yeah, duh. Like why would it be not that? But it's like, no, that's not how stuff used to work. And not just .NET, that was lots of ecosystems. So it's just, I don't know, it's exciting when you see something like this where you're like, oh man, like this is just web tech like as every other platform
Right.
expects it to be.
All right. So I have angered the demo gods now.
See, that's you
I
predicted it.
turned off everything, but something is not stopping. So let's
It's
just
still
close and
spinning.
reopen. Yeah,
Just trying to launch it.
we'll just do this. No big deal. Something was taking its time for
Oh, see, look right now. It's
now. Yeah, give it a second. Just give it a second.
no, I know, but
just
look, it's already like loading. It was starting to load the icon on your phone. Maybe that was the old process or something spinning.
Oh, the only thing I will say that we've done complex here, the one thing that I don't like is this kind of blurb around async observer and kind of the streaming to async enumerable so that we can kind of stream our outputs out.
Mm-hmm.
This you can usually fold into a nice little library and clean it all up. I do personally hate the way we have to do stream providers with IDs and getting the stream with the serialization type, but it's there for a reason. And the name is speed, right? Because you're probably always going to be listening to, this same event, but I may want to just listen to my organization, right?
Yeah, I was
Obviously,
gonna say,
I
like, I
wouldn't
don't
want.
know what else you would want to do here.
Well, let's say you had the Redth company, right? And you have
Yeah,
5 drivers. I may set this to only listen to Redth
yeah,
because that's your scope. So that may be the case where you want to, right? You don't want to block up the whole stream and create a hotspot. You kind of sub break it up, key it up so that you only listen on the channel that you really care about. So I get why they do it. This async observable stuff is just it's to necessitate this stupid async enumerable. So in
hmm
RX, we had something called a subject, which was like a way to signal an observable to push data out. We're kind of just using channels, which is a .NET library, to do the same thing, right? So we're signaling when I receive a signal off of this async enumerable, which is a location, I transfer it into a GPS ping. Again, it's a lot of complexity here. I think you can wrap this up in a nice little library and basically make it, what's the stream provider name, what's the
right.
driver
Just give
ID,
me
and
back the
what's the
async
type,
enumerable.
right? And I don't want to worry about this crap, right?
Hmm.
And you can do that. We're not doing it right now. Okay, so we've got this loaded up. We gave it a minute. Let's see if we can get the Maui app deployed this time, or we can see if the demo gods have had enough of me and go from there.
It wanted to before. I mean, like eventually. So hopefully.
We'll give it one last try. I think we're at our time anyways, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Would be
Here,
nice to
let's
end
see if
on
this
a
ends up.
like, hey, this thing works.
Did the David Orton now curse continue? Is he watching? Or is it?
Should have done it as a catalyst app.
I guess I could have. I don't know why this is being a pain in the ass right now. I wonder if it's because of I usually never, the funny thing is that I never use iPhone mirroring for my own stuff. Is that weird?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't.
I find because it's really hard to actually click around, and like if you need to
Yeah.
do any swiping action, this thing does, like the mouse just sucks.
Well, yeah, you got to
Come
use
on,
like scroll wheel and stuff. It's
come on, man.
almost like there's some weird blocked like deploy thing because when you closed it all out is when it finally started to kind of show it was installing. So I wonder if there's like I don't know, a
It's
bug
on
of some
XC
kind in
run.
the tooling.
I don't know. It's on XC run. It's doing its normal thing.
Oh,
Ooh,
ooh,
ooh, oh, come on.
maybe, might be. Think it can. Think it can.
Oh, did it?
Oh,
It hasn't pushed it yet.
well, yeah, I was gonna say it built it. That might have been where it got to last time as well.
There we go. Okay, now it's
Okay, okay,
shipping.
okay,
Okay,
okay. All right, well, hang around for a
there we
minute.
go. Am I using the crap out of my CPU or what?
We need
Come on, baby.
those M5 Max chips to come out then.
All right. So, beauty. I'm going to set our breakpoint on GPS ping. And I'm going to go to the GPS delegate because we know this is where it's going to hit. And I'm not going to worry about driver grain this time because we know that's working. So it's just I need to see what comes into this guy.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and start our HTTP. And this is going to go out through ngrok, which is our tunnel, and come back into my server, ideally. But again, we had a bug with this, and I'm not sure what that is yet. So let's wait for our infrastructure to get going. Alan iPhone, we'll call this guy, and I'll start him.
I'm always like afraid of like when I do stuff like this of like putting a space in the stream. Not that it should matter at all. It's one of those. I'm like, you just put a space in a stream that you're testing out as an I don't know.
And it's an ID.
Yeah,
but hey, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It should be fine.
I choose violence. Violence. Let's go. All right, our infrastructure is spinning, running, yapping. So we're good. Let's see where we go from here. So I'm going to start working. This is going to turn on the GPS. Allow while using app, which is changed to always allow because, we're tracking you. And in a minute, I didn't find the debug points. Why didn't it find the debug points?
Did it end up posting anywhere?
It's angry that there is no GPS or there's no debug.
Can you go see if it went through on the Orleans dashboard?
It is not right now. I'm not even sure it's running. So let's see. Let's go look at the Orleans dashboard. Come on. And there is a driver grain, but let's see if we've got Alan iPhone. I don't think we do yet because I think I had a breakpoint set up.
Yeah, just curious if it went without debugging.
So we've got that. Back to program. I have a debug set up there. Let's just turn this guy off for a second and set a log. Logger.log. No, it's on the base class of this guy. Logger.log debug. Let's log information because
yeah, just in case.
Just in case I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to create our GPS ping up here. I need to get off this thing because this API is yapping left and right. Oh, no. That would be 404. Look at that. It is sending information.
Yeah.
It's because I've got the extra dash. It's returning 404. See? Console work.
There you go. So just undo all those and set it back to go.
All right, I'm going to do that. That means the app is still running.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to MAUI.
It works.
Let's wipe away the app. Okay, so
still weird that it didn't hit the breakpoint, but that could be a.
It's because it's the ASP.NET is erroring right away.
I guess
it's still catching up from all the. It was sending a whole whack of info, so it's still catching up. All right, so I don't need the debug point. I don't need the logger. It's just going to run. That's fine. Come on. Come on, you can deploy it. Let's connect back. Oh my gosh. It's always something. There, my phone's locked. Reconnect. Thank you. And MAUI is quiet because we're waiting. Let's see its build. We'll sit here and watch it and cheer it on.
Is it like
So the good
redoing
news is,
everything again? I guess because it's on device. Yeah. So this is why I
I
don't
think it's
test
just
on
mad because
devices that much.
I'm running like 10 different things and I'm running all the
Yeah.
processes and it's in Docker. So I think my computer's just being slow.
And
I don't know.
you're streaming and there's a lot going on.
But we ended up finding the bug. So now this sucker should be running at the end of the stream. Come on, baby.
Yeah, I don't know how incremental this part of the build is or not at this point.
It's hard to say because the thing is we are running other services, but I do this all the time anyways. I just think it's being stupid this morning because that's how it goes. Come on, baby. You can do this. Get it out there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Build succeeded. Deploy. Deploy. Run the damn thing.
It's going.
All right. So I'm going to set a breakpoint back up.
Yeah, it doesn't like that. But in theory, it should post now anyway, right?
It should if it starts. Might have to help it in a second. There we go.
It's going. It's going. It's going.
It's really taking its sweet butt time. Yay! There it is.
Is the name already saved? No, because you haven't put a name in yet.
No. So now it's going to be angry about that. That's all right. Set an error because it didn't save it. I didn't make it a persistent thing. Okay. So that probably got angry. Or it's just broadcasting a whole bunch of points still.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You might want to just let that
there it is.
go.
Okay. All right. So let's just do Alan this time. Make it nice and easy. There we go. Driver name, Alan.
Hey.
Let's see what our GPS ping reads out. Yes, that looks very accurate.
All right. So now it's going to keep sending that away and away and away, or is it doing? Hopefully I forget if you had anything that was like only do it when there's a bunch of movement.
It's gonna right now. It's probably going a fair bit slow, but it is coming in. You can see now. There we go. Now it's just going to keep hammering in. So the whole point is that Orleans can handle this amount of chatter, but you can see it just like iOS is just going to hammer it. So I'm going to get out of that now and let it just do its thing, just hammer. So let's go look at our streams, and then we can probably end on the high note because we got it to work. And I'm going to pull grain ID Allen, show details. So if I keep refreshing this.
So do you not, is there no way from here to like look at the stream it's published to?
Not right now. I think actually maybe let's see log stream. So yes. But
so go look up my grain now.
Oh, you want me to look up red?
I'm just curious how you can have to do a grain type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious because I started running a thing that is just sending it every like few seconds again.
Oh, you're the guy spamming. Yeah. So see, there it goes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Nice. And then mine is obviously just hammering away. So show details.
No, wrong capital.
See, that's why you don't do strings for keys.
That's right.
There we go. And this guy should be updating fairly frequent. Oh, unless the app went to sleep. Hang on. Yep, go to sleep. No, it did not. There we go.
Yeah, it's gone.
I just had to kick my phone a little bit so it didn't go to sleep. Beauty. So, while you can broadcast the information like this that fast, I generally tell people, so I'm going to go back to our GPS delegate. So Shiny does have a thing. iOS used to have like filters, so did Android, where you could say, I only want it to go when you go a certain amount of distance or time. The problem was that people wanted different variations of that, and it never. They ended up deprecating the API, so it just doesn't work anymore, which is awesome. And so now they just, like I said, these coordinates, this thing will blast as hard as it can, as hard as the platform can, unless you start saying, I want it to be, only if from point A to point B, has been a minimum distance of, say, I don't know, 200 meters, right?
Yeah.
So the pings will keep coming in, but what I do is I keep the last ping and we keep going until we get to that point where it's like, okay, you've moved 200 meters since the last time I fired the event for you. Here you go. Or it's been 15 seconds since the last ping. And then
Yeah, I was gonna
that'll
say, can you I guess the to not have it, or you just use one of them.
Yeah. And then because you don't want an end condition, it gets very weird and you might
Yeah.
never hear it. So it really has to be or. If you've got custom weird logic, then just don't use this. Just change it yourself
Yeah,
here.
do it yourself. But yeah, no, that makes sense because you want you know, even if you're not moving, you kind of want to make sure like, okay, no, I still know what our location is, even though it's been a while.
Right.
It's not like
So
they stopped reporting or something.
exactly. So this works beautiful. We've got our Orleans server running now perfectly, all locally through our emulator, because that's what we did for Orleans. We now have a full silo, which, yes, bit of little extra stuff, but it's all working great now. So I think our next stream will be we can either have a friend of mine come on and do an app, but he's probably needs a little bit more than a week warning. Maybe.
Yeah, we can like try and start bringing together some kind of map thing with code, right? And then kind of look
Right.
at what you would do without it or how you
So
you would approach it.
I think our next live stream, if we do like a Blazor web app,
Yeah.
with a Google Maps that just ding puts the pings on a map. That we can do for next week, and then we're pretty much done because now we've got kind of a performant thing going on.
And maybe by that point, when we're done that, I'll be ready to. I figure I'm going to share my image stuff one of these weeks. We can go through that.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Beauty. So that's going to do it for this week, I think. But we fixed all of our bugs. One of them was stupid. It was my stupid. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
This code is all committed. I'll put it on the link on the stream. And links to anything else we talked about. But one of the things I was also going to suggest is that if people want to message John and or myself, kind of the ask us to build something.
Yeah. If you have ideas.
Yeah. Shoot us something.
Yeah. What's like a thing that's hard that you're trying to figure out how a nice way to do it is. And especially if it's mobile kind of oriented, MAUI oriented, it'd be interesting to go through that. Not that we'll necessarily pick the right thing to do, but or the best way to do it, but we'll think of something.
And if somebody, if you've got those opinions, like I said, you can hit us up on gone.net on the Blue Sky. You can leave a comment in our YouTube channel or what's the X, Twitter, whatever.
Yeah, wherever, anywhere you can find us.
Exactly. And then we'll see if it, hit us with your best shot and we'll see if we can implement it. If not, like I said, John's on tap for his build thingy, which we'll talk about later. And I think we've talked about doing a Bluetooth chat at some point. So
yeah,
lots of other ideas, but we've got one more week of this puppy, maybe two, if we do a Logic app, but this guy is now purring along. So
it's looking good. All right. Well, I think that does it. We'll see everyone later. Tune in again next week. And thanks again.
Ciao for now. Ending stream.